How's it, punters? Welcome back to the Best Sports Betting Podcast. Today with me, as always, is Simon. Simon, how was your weekend?
It was good, Rob. It was full of sporting action, which was great. Lots of US Open and golf, so it was good fun. And yourself?
Yeah, pretty chilled as usual. There were some decent matches on, but I didn't catch too much on the TV. But we're going to have a quick recap about some of the weekend sporting action. I'm sure you're going to have a lot to say about the tennis and the golf. Let's start off with, I think, the big talking points, probably the US Open and Djokovic. We can also have a quick look at some of the results and some of the upcoming games. But what did you make of the whole Djokovic situation? I find it pretty hilarious, to be honest.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate. If for anyone who doesn't know, he unintentionally hit a line judge in the throat when passing a ball back to them during the game, and the rules of tennis
nearly took the head off the way they went down, like a soccer player. Hey, watching Ronaldo too much, went down clutching the throat.
Yeah. Well, the rules state, unfortunately, that any reckless act which harms an official, regardless of the consequences, obviously the consequences were huge in this instance, being the world number one heavy favorite to, be defaulted from the tournament. Regardless of any of that, the rule states that it's an automatic default. I love how our tennis makes a disqualification sound more graceful, but a default. Yeah.
Yeah, classy.
Yeah, so it's an interesting one because if you consider the circumstances though under which the incident occurred, I mean it's obvious that Djokovic was clearly frustrated. He'd fallen and he'd hurt himself early in the set. He also hit a ball into the backboards just a few games before that, which we didn't nowhere near a line judge, fortunately. But then at the moment that Public Arena Buster broke his serve, and he was about to serve for the first set, he then hit the ball back and obviously hit the line judge in the throat. So it doesn't look good for him in the sense that he was clearly frustrated and although he didn't intend to hurt anybody, what happened was a consequence of his frustration. So it's really unfortunate for him, but the rules are the rules.
Yeah, and I think I'm going to say it outright that it's nonsense that he got disqualified. But as you said, rules are rules. I personally wouldn't have disqualified him for that, but it was. If you look at his intent for me wasn't to hit the line judge; it was just to hit the ball angrily. But it ended up hitting the line judge, so you're gonna have to walk after that. It's a crappy situation. I don't agree with it, but I also agree with it at the same time. So I'm kind of mixed. I just find it very funny that something like this would actually happen at the US Open. I mean, if it hit that shot and it hadn't hit the line judges, there wouldn't be an issue today. So, bit of a case of wrong place, wrong time.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Rob. The one thing though where I think he is at massive fault though is, and I'm not sure if you heard about this, he actually skipped the press conference after that happened. So as much as I understand that he was in shock and he probably wanted some time to process what had happened to him, I think that was the perfect opportunity to humbly apologize for what he did, and instead he just got into his car and drove to his giant mansion outside New York and got onto social media to apologize, which I think, to be honest, is very cowardly. And to me, it actually says that he's not really truly apologetic. And if you actually read his apology on social media, it says, first expresses disappointment, at himself, at being booted from the tournament before actually apologizing for what he did. So I just think that was a very silly move on his part. I think if he had gone straight into the press conference, even though he was frustrated, and just said, look, I'm really sorry for what happened, I hope she's going to be okay, etc., instead of running off and then going onto social media and apologizing, I think that wasn't a very smart move.
Not a good look for him. If I was in his boots, I would have probably pulled the line judge up onto the post-match conference, if they were willing, and literally have him sit next to me and just humbly apologize and just take the loss. Just say, these things happen. You just make it clear you really didn't intend to hit the line judge, and you'll come out looking all right. Because I didn't hear all about that story that you were mentioning about the social media and the non-apology, but you really should be apologizing. And I believe he did apologize right afterwards to the judge, but in the press conference, I'm assuming he just let the emotions get the better of him. He was probably upset at being disqualified.
No, well, that's the thing. He skipped it. So
yes,
not only did he, so that is the problem. I mean, he basically, he had an opportunity there to make his apology, and instead he drove off and apologized on social media. So I think that's actually, that's not legal. You have to attend press conferences. It's actually part of the contract you sign when you become a professional player. So he actually did something illegal by skipping that press conference. So then to apologize, his apology on social media was a good one. But, I think skipping the press conference was definitely a bad move.
Yeah, especially after you actually, kind of hurt someone. I don't want to say he hurt them too badly. I don't actually know the medical details, but yeah. But moving on, we're gonna jump over to some recap of the golf. We had a chat about it on the last podcast about some of the terrible starting handicaps. Johnson with a 10 or a 12, and he ended up
10 stroke,
just winning the tournament. It wasn't the 10 stroke was pretty spot on. if you were capping it as a bookmaker.
Yeah, so I mean, basically the PGA Tour set him up for his 10 million purse, which is obviously a nice amount to win. Funny enough, Mark Leishman, who was the biggest price,
the one that I liked,
the preview, he was actually the first round leader at 125 to 1. Can you believe that? Starting right at the back of the field. But he ran out of luck after that. If he did somehow manage to win, that would have been the perfect slap in the face for the PGA Tour.
I think it was 500 to 1 or something, yeah.
So he was 125 to 1 with the starting cap. So I mean that would have been, I think, if he had won, that would have been the perfect slap in the face for the PGA Tour for coming up with this ridiculous handicap system, in all honesty.
Yeah, they should just have an event ceremony and just give Dustin Johnson his trophy.
Exactly. So he ended up winning by 3 strokes. He actually had a very average first round. He ended somewhere in the middle of the field, even lower, and then I must say he did play pretty well on the last 3 days. So I had a bet on Xander Schauffele, who I tipped, but he came in second. His odds were quite short at 11 to 1, so I didn't want to take him each way, and unfortunately got paid sweet bugger all because I just took him on the outright winner. So he came in second, unfortunately. But it was
still a solid punt though.
Yeah, sure, it was. I really hope that they get rid of the system for next year,
or they rework it, or just change it somehow. I mean, it's I didn't even tune in. I just wasn't interested in. I mean, what's the word I'm looking for when someone's already crowned? The not the incumbent, but just basically his sort of glory. His exhibition glory tournament for his trophy. And I like Dustin Johnson. I'm not saying anything bad about him. It's more the tournament organizers. But moving on to some F1. I didn't catch it over the weekend, and you popped me some messages saying there was quite a bit of drama. I have checked a couple of the reports, but I'm not too clued up. So why don't you fill me in a bit?
Sure. Well, let me first state I'm not a huge Grand Prix fan either by any means. But sometimes on a Sunday when I'm channel flicking, I'll take a small interest. This weekend was the tour in Monza, Italy, which is the home of Ferrari. So that's their kind of their tournaments, which they managed to win last year. But what made this race really exciting was that Lewis Hamilton of Mercedes got a 10-second penalty for being called into a pit stop when the lane was actually closed. So I don't know if you can put that on him as much as you can put that on his team. But anyway, he got a 10-second penalty. And what happened then was Gasly from AlphaTauri, he took an early lead and actually managed, I never thought he would, he managed to hold on to the lead, and McLaren Sainz was right behind him all the way, and Gasly managed to get his first ever Grand Prix victory. And what was also awesome to watch, though, besides that, was Hamilton fight back. So he was 18 seconds behind the leader after his penalty, and he ended up finishing 7th. Which is just, people always talk about, Mercedes and having the best cars, and that's absolutely right. But that just shows you that even though Mercedes, have the fastest cars, and they have had for quite a number of years now, whichever team Hamilton drives for is going to have a huge advantage. I mean, as a driver, he is in a league of his own. I mean, to make up 11 places in that amount of time is just absolutely incredible.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of Lewis, simply because I think he's making not his driving style, but just him and the team are making F1 a bit dull to watch. It's very predictable who's going to win the races, and sure, there's going to be exceptions when things happen, but those are usually things that are out of his control. I mean, if he's going to be running a race with no complications, he's probably going to win.
Absolutely, that's great, and that's why this was such a fantastic event, because it had a completely different podium to what we normally see. So it was definitely one for the casual fan.
One that I now regret missing.
Yeah, one in a million.
Yeah, sounds like a callback to the old glory days of F1 from years ago. But yeah, I think those are long gone. But any other sports that you want to wrap up before we have a look at some of the upcoming tennis matches and Premier League some?
No, that's it, Rob. We can move on to looking ahead for sure.
Yeah, let's jump into tennis, seeing that we spoke about that not too long ago, and it's the second week now of the US Open. And have you managed to find any value for this week, or has your opinion on any of the outrights or any of the players changed?
Well, yeah. Firstly, I tipped Raonic up last week, who bombed out in the second round. I mean, honestly, it was one of the poorest performances I've ever seen him put in. He's actually playing a fellow Canadian, Poppersville, in the second round, and he played like an absolute buffoon. I mean, his first serve percentage was terribly low. His ground strokes from the baseline were very poor. I mean, I think if Raonic had to play him 20 more times, he would have to play him 20 more times to lose again. But that's just the way the cookie crumbles for punters sometimes, I guess. But he was just really, really, really poor. So looking ahead, the quarterfinalists, we have Koric, Zverev, Public Arena Busto, Shapovalov, Dominor, Thiem, Rublev, and Medvedev. I was hoping that the bookies might make Thiem or Zverev the outright favorite. The reason, because I wanted to fade them, but they've actually picked, in my opinion, the best player of the tournament so far, in Daniel Medvedev.
Yeah.
And he is now 6-4 to win the tournament, which I think looks about the right price. So I'm a little disappointed there, because I thought he just goes a little bit under the radar. He doesn't have Zverev's quite popular with the fans. Thiem not quite so much, but Medvedev really does generally go under the radar. So I thought they might not make him favorite, but he is the favorite. So for me, it's 6-4. He's not really a bet. Looking at the ladies, I mean, the draw is currently set up for a Williams-Osaka final.
Yeah, she's playing. She's on fire at the moment. It's a bit of a resurgence.
She is, and Victoria Azarenka, I think, has a chance to pip Serena, because she will play her in the semis more than likely. So I think she has a chance to pip Serena. Serena's just, she's getting through matches because she has that BMT, but she's just lacking she's obviously beyond her peak. I mean, based on her age alone, you could tell that. But I think she's struggling a bit. I think that Azarenka will have a good chance to beat her. If she doesn't, and Osaka ends up in the final with Serena, it'll be a repeat of the 2018 final, which was obviously when there was that. Right, Osaka and Williams, when there was a whole issue with the umpire, and there was a big deal, and Osaka ended up winning that and feeling absolutely terrible.
Yeah, I don't remember whatever happened after that. Did Williams apologize, or was there?
She did. She behaved like an absolute
arsehole. A prima donna.
Absolutely, yeah. She really was. It was terrible, because Osaka she absolutely pummeled her, and she made her feel so bad about it, because she made the line judge feel like she was being cheated, and she absolutely wasn't. She was making complaints. I can't even remember what they were about.
She was pulling a Djokovic, basically.
Yeah, she was. She was being an absolute drama queen. Anyway, it kind of took away from Osaka's victory, which is very unfortunate. But that's who the bookies have in the final. I think that Azarenka's got a very good chance against Serena, actually. So I think it might be Osaka Azarenka, but yeah, it's very hard to tell. As I said before, the ladies' draw is almost impossible to predict, but I think Osaka is the rightful favorite, based on her numbers, and also having beaten Serena before.
All right, so it sounds like it would be a good time to get a punt on Osaka. Do you know what she's trading at the moment? unless she's...
Her price right now is 33 to 20.
Okay, that's not great. Is that for the match or for the outright?
That's the outright, and Serena's at 11 to 4. So,
I don't know.
There's not too much between them, but I think Osaka's the right favorite.
I don't know. With Serena on the form that she's on, I mean, 11 to 4, it's hard to turn down that price for a player that's in such form. But yes, Osaka does look like a good punt as well. But I might have a sneaky one on Williams, just to see if her legs will carry her all the way. I'm quite interested. I think this is going to be one of her swan songs.
Sure. Look, if you're looking for a value bet and wanting to bet one of those two, I would also take Serena. It's just because she
the pedigree.
The pedigree, exactly. But it's a very open draw, as I said. Look, as you just mentioned, whenever you can get back Serena in a price where she's not a favorite, you're probably getting positive EV on your bet.
All right, great. So 2 to look at for the ladies. Let's jump over to some Premier League action, and the Premier League starting up again this weekend. It feels like it ended just yesterday. It wasn't too long ago, but yeah, no break this year. And you are not too impressed with the opening weekend, from what I gather.
No, gosh. I mean, I was hoping the Premier League would be back with a bang for the new season, but it looks like one of the dullest cards I've ever seen, honestly. If you look through the matches, I think the best on paper probably looks like Everton and Spurs, and Palace and Southampton, which hardly makes me giddy with excitement.
Yeah, not going to get out of bed early for that one. I think there's a couple decent matchups, and I do think there's some value going into the opening weekend, and I'm going to be looking at Arsenal. Now, Arsenal are on, cloud 9 at the moment, having won the FA Cup and the Community Shield, and I think they're going to take that into the opening match against Fulham. Now, these matches are going to be played once again behind closed doors, so the home ground factor is not such a big factor. It's obviously just a travel thing, which is not terrible in the UK. And I think Arsenal, who are priced at 11 to 20, should win this one pretty handily. I'm very tempted to back them on the -1 handicap at 14 to 10 at WSB. It seems like there could be a couple goals in this one as well, but I think either an Arsenal win or Arsenal on the -1 handicap against Fulham. What are your thoughts on that, Simon? You think Fulham could pull an upset?
I like that, Rob. No, I like your reasoning there behind taking Arsenal. What I would do, and I haven't looked at the price, but I'm guessing if you took the -1 on the Asian handicap, which would mean then that they wouldn't have to win by 2 goals, but if they just won, you would get your stake back. So basically, that's taking a bet kind of halfway between the win and the full -1 would be the Asian -1, and I'm guessing that would probably be around even money. So if I was going to take that bet, I would probably rather take the Asian handicap -1 rather than the full -1, which I'm guessing would be around even. Yeah, there's quite a few bookies that are offering Asian handicaps now. So I like that. I think you're right. I think Arsenal will definitely be up for it this weekend.
And there was another bet that I was kind of keen on for this match, and I hadn't yet made up my mind. It was Arsenal halftime, full time, but I haven't had too much of a chance. It did stand out to me. I can't quite find it on the... Apologies, guys. Dogs were going a bit crazy in the background. And I was saying the Arsenal halftime, full time was one that I was looking at. I just can't seem to find it on the card at the moment, unless I'm just not seeing it. But yeah, that seems like one that I might have a stab at too. And I think I'll also be taking a double this weekend. I'm going to be taking Arsenal to beat Fulham, and then I'll be taking Liverpool to beat Leeds. 3 to 10 isn't great, but that's a bit of a banker right there.
Yeah, that's probably going to give you around even money together, I would imagine, maybe even slightly more.
Yeah, 1.02, so just a shade over even money, and I think that's probably going to be one of my best bets for the weekend. I expect Liverpool to come out, all cylinders firing. I don't think Leeds are going to stand much of a chance, and I think that might be a bit of a high-scoring one as well. So overs there as well. If you can take Liverpool and over 2.5, if there's any value there, I would go for it. And anything else coming up this week that you're keen on? Golf's done. Tennis is going on. The Premier League is kicking off. Anything that you fancy other than those three?
Yeah, well, I think not really. I think I'm definitely going to keep my eyes on the US Open. As I said, we're going into the men's and the ladies quarterfinals starting from today. So that'll keep me going. I mean, obviously the golf season is now over, so it'll be restarting again soon. And looking forward to the Premier League. It could be better, but other than that, I think we got it all covered, Rob.
Yeah, and unfortunately, you and myself being Newcastle fans, we were hoping for a good start to the season with new owners. But that looks like that fell through a couple of weeks back. And
the never-ending story.
Yeah. I mean, what do you do? Like, I was so excited. I was like, Ashley's going to be out. It's going to be gone. Anyone but Ashley, and it just fell through. It's what seems like at the last minute. So that was a bit frustrating for us Newcastle fans. But how do you think we're going to do this season? Well, what are your thoughts?
Oh gosh,
relegation,
it's always so
or?
hard. I mean, we always flirt with relegation, don't we? It always kind of seem to start the season out generally either really badly or kind of middle of the road, and then we either take a huge dive at the end or kind of just escape relegation.
Do just enough.
Yeah, do just enough. It's really tough to tell, but I don't have my hopes on much spending either with Ashley around. So it's never easy to tell, is it?
Never easy, nah. While we're on the Premier League, what about outrights? I know we had a quick look at it last week with, and you mentioned that City were one of your favourites for the tournament, or the trophy rather.
Yeah.
Are you still looking at City 15-20? It seems incredibly short.
It is short. I mean, I think I agree with the bookmakers in the sense that I do think they should be the favourites. Do I like that price? No. I think that you're better off taking Liverpool. I think that it's going to be a two-horse race, and it's going to be a two-horse race for the next few seasons at this rate. Those two teams are separating themselves above the field. I mean, I wouldn't take a speculative bet on Chelsea or United, to be quite honest with you. So I think if you're going to bet the outrights, you've got to pick one of the two. But if you're taking City, that's a long time. If you want to invest a bet on such short odds for 5 months, 6 months, I wouldn't advise it personally.
All right, so stay away from those two is Simon's advice. And I'm also going to have to say that I can't back either of those teams at those prices. I mean, to commit to a 2-1 on Liverpool, just over 2-1 for a full season, it's a bit nutty. I'd rather just keep that for a game or two and splurge it on that. And the same goes for City at 15-20. I mean, maybe if you've got a couple outright multipliers or accumulators, which is something I do take just out of interest. You slap a Man City in there, maybe a Sundowns. I'm not sure if you caught up on the PSL drama over the weekend, but so it's worth considering for that. But for a straight up bet, I don't think I'm gonna be getting involved there. But guys, thanks for tuning into this episode of the Best Sports Betting Podcast. It was a bit of a long one. We managed to get through quite a lot, and hopefully Simon wasn't too bored by my rambling. Simon?
No, you're right, Rob.
Flattering as always. Guys, I will catch you in the next one. Simon, thanks for joining, and have a safe one, guys. Cheers.
Thank you for listening, and don't forget to visit our site, Facebook and Twitter pages. Let's go make some money.